Hi, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and today I want to show you how to bead embroider a basic beaded edge. You can see in these two cabochons here that I've beaded around that they're unfinished. They've got their backing glued on to their foundation, which is lacy stiff stuff, but they really need something to finish that edge. One option, which I've shown you in a previous video, is to do a picot edge, which is this right here where you've got almost a ruffled effect. We have a little bead sticking out from the end. And that's how that one looks. But the most common is going to be a basic beaded edge, and I want to show you how to do that right now. I've got a beading needle and I've threaded it with, for me, about 30 inches of thread for this size project. It's going to vary based upon your size of your cabochon and the beadwork you're going around. What you're going to want to do is do not tie a knot onto your thread, but just pick up a single bead onto your needle, going from the front side and actually between a couple of the beads along the outside edge. You're going to go down through the foundation and also the backing. You're going to pull, and you're going to want to leave yourself a tail of about 6-7 inches because you're going to need to go back and thread a needle onto that tail at the very end. So I've come all the way through the backing. I'm now going to go back through that bead that I just strung on there. Helps a little bit if you can hold that tail. Helps from your threads getting too tangled. And you want that bead to just sit right on top of the two layers. And now I'm going to actually hold this tail down because I don't want it to get tangled. I'm going to take my needle, pick up one single bead, and again I'm going to go through the top side. Sometimes a little tricky to get your needle in there. All the way through to the back side. And I'm going to pull down, and then I'm going to go back up through that same bead that I just beaded and pull. The first couple are going to be a little bit tricky just because you don't have a knot on this thread, so it's a little bit of a balancing act, but as soon as you get a couple on there, it's going to feel like it's holding firm. Again, a single bead. Go through the back, or I'm sorry, go through the top, front, to the back, pull down, then go ahead, take your needle, put it back up through that bead and pull. And you want these to be sitting right on the edge of your beadwork, so it's right covering that sandwiched backing and foundation piece. Let me show you this again, and then you're going to go ahead and bead the entire round. So single bead, go through the front to the back, pull, now go back up through that bead, help your threads along the way if they get tangled, and just pull. So now go ahead and you're going to do that all the way around until you come back to where you started. All right, now that you've beaded around the entire edge and you're almost to your starting point, you need to just add an extra bead or two. So I'm going to do that step with you. Same exact process, just pick up a bead, go from the top side down through the backing, and then up through that bead. Just want to make sure your tail end from your original beading just stays out of the way. And now you have to just decide, do you have room to add another bead, or do you just connect it to the first one you beaded on there? And here you can tell we don't really have room. If you have to guess, if you're doing this and say you have a little bit larger gap than this and you're considering, do I add another bead, don't I add another bead? 9 times out of 10 is going to be you're not going to add another bead and you're just going to join them and pull the strings tight so that it pulls your beads closer together. If you try to push it and add that bead and you really don't have enough space, it's going to create a ripple in your work and it's not going to look as finished as if you had just maybe had a little bit larger gap and tried to close it by pulling the strings together. So that's just something to keep in mind. So to finish this, what I want to do is I want to go now through the original bead that I strung, and instead of just going here on the backing, I'm actually going to try to catch some of this backing like so. Again, here's my tail from my original work, and I'm just going to pull it And that's going to pull those beads together. So now what I want to do is I want to take my needle off of my thread, and I want to go ahead and I want to thread it onto the tail that I started with. If you have 2 needles, you can actually just keep that other needle on and then just thread a second needle on here. So now I want to take this thread and I want to loop it down through that last bead I strung and down into my backing as well. So now I have that nice thread arch again. So I've got thread arches all the way around. And the needle just came off, that's fine. So now I've got 2 strings out the back. I just want to tie them. Just a simple knot right there. First to begin with, pull that down. And now I'm going to do a surgeon's knot. So I'm just going to go over and under, and pull down. Now I don't want these strings hanging out the back, so I need to go ahead and rethread my needle. And I just need to work this into my beadwork. You could do it along the outside, or you can actually come to the front side. And work it in here. And when you're happy with it, just pull it through. Take your thread zapper or a sharp pair of scissors. And we're just going to zap it off. There we go. And so you do that with the other side as well. And then you've completed your edging. So here's what we started with. Remember, we had the sandwich effect. You really do need something to cover that. So here's what the final piece looks like. And then here was the picot edge again, which was another variation. So there's lots of choices you have when you're doing bead embroidery on how to finish your work, but it does create a really nice, polished, professional, finished look.